Petronella Kagonye is a mother of 5 boys, married, and a pastor with Heartfelt International Ministries, a farmer, and a businesswoman specializing in real estate. That's my main focus. And over and above that, I'm also a politician. Being a former minister, I was the Minister of Labor and Social Welfare until 2018, and before that I also worked as a Deputy Minister of Transport and Infrastructure Development. I represented Goromon South constituency as their Member of Parliament from 2013 to 2018, and currently I'm a member of Zanu-PF, Mashonaland East Province, the Secretary of Finance in the Women's League. So basically this is what I can say I am. The way I started politics, as I grew up, I had interest in politics quite a lot because my family had a background in politics. They were just main supporters. No one really in any particular position, but they were just basically active in politics. So as I worked, started work soon after my university, I went and worked as a land officer from Bindura, Gwanda, Marondera, Goromonzi. Then I worked at head office here in Harare, overlooking a number of things. But the land reform process in itself, it's a political process in itself. So as I became very active in it since its inception in 2000, it started in 1999, and that is when I joined the ministry, the beginning of 2000 onwards. It was very political. I ended up developing so much interest in politics, and when from the days that I was at the university, I was also active in the youth league of Zanu-PF. But that just gave me an edge to participate in politics, but not really to get involved full time. But sometime in 2011, I decided to quit my job. I've been employed for 11 years and I felt like I wanted to do something different. I wanted to go into business, so I decided to resign. I wanted to go into business and also to become, to get into pastoral work. So I opted to go to a Bible college at Heartfelt International Ministry Bible College first, so that as I graduate, I would also resign and go and start my work at the same time, become a full-time pastor. And when I was about to graduate, I remember one day we were in a church service in Belvedere, and my pastor then, Apostle Taonga Utawashe, approached me. And he simply said, God is telling me that you are being called into politics. And then he prayed for me, and that was the beginning of everything else. I immediately took leave at work and I went back. I was already an active member in our district there in Goromons. So it was easy for me to go back there. And I informed my political leaders then that I wanted to participate in politics. I wanted to stand in and represent Goromon South constituency as a Member of Parliament. And from there on, I registered, and that's how it all started. So my life in politics, it has not been easy. You know, politics involves a number of strategies, especially when you're a woman. Yeah, you are faced with a number of difficulties. To start with, I was too young then, 33, not so young, but at least I was still within the youth league. For me to try and become a Member of Parliament, during that time it was not so easy, because mainly in the political party that I represented, there were more because I remember back then in 2008, I wanted to stand in because I had been approached by our local leaders to stand in for the same posts, but some of them, they actually discouraged me and encouraged me to drop off my CV to pave way for others who then contested in 2008. But in 2013, because I had that voice from my pastor, I could not drop out. I had the age to go and stand because I knew what God had said. I was going to make it. So when I went to stand in, I faced a number of challenges because, to start with, they could not allow me to stand in for the primary elections. They raised quite a number of issues. One of them was you are a civil servant, you didn't have the required experience, more than 5 years at district level, all sorts of excuses. But that was not true, because I had more than 5 years, and the civil servants were also getting waivers for them to be able to stand as a member of parliament. But it was just a way of trying to discourage me so that at least somebody else can stand in for me. But fortunately, I was allowed to stand at the very last minute. So and when I stood, I became the first choice. I won with a very significant margin. And fortunately, I think it was around September when we were appointed as when we were sworn in, and soon after I was appointed the Deputy Minister for Transport, which was quite a shocker, because many people did not expect that, because it was my first time into politics, and immediately to be appointed as a Deputy Minister. When I joined, I was still fresh, without any knowledge of what was really happening. And I only spent about a year being a Deputy Minister, and it was soon after when I was called back from that position, and allegations were that I was a Gamatox, because there was functionalism those days, and I was classified under Gamatox, which I did not even know what it meant or whatever it was. I had no idea. I was too new in politics and no idea at all of what was happening, but that is what happened. So I remained as a Member of Parliament again until the new dispensation in 2017, and it was then that after the new dispensation, I was appointed again to go back into cabinet, this time as a full cabinet minister responsible for labor and social welfare. And in 2018, when we went for elections, they were mad with a lot of infighting within our constituency, and that contributed to me losing the seat to opposition. So I couldn't come back as a Member of Parliament, and therefore even the ministerial post I was also not appointed, because I was not a Member of Parliament. And here I am. I'm still in, but at the party level, but I'm not in government. I'm the Secretary for Finance with the Women's League National and East Province. So this is where I am. Yeah, the main challenge is, one, it was lack of finance. I didn't have enough money. I had enough money to look after my family. But now looking to go and start campaigning, I didn't know that it required such a big budget. But fortunately for me, because I had worked there during the land reform program, it was easy to campaign, because many people knew me already because of the work that I was doing as a land officer within the same area. But my main challenge was for the leadership then to accept me as their candidate, to allow me to stand in as a candidate. You know, sometimes there is some imposition of candidates in such positions. So you find that the people who were there during that time, they didn't want me to stand at provincial level, but those who were on the ground, they really gave me all the necessary support, until the Politburo made a decision then that there was going to be no imposition of candidates, and everyone was allowed to stand. And I got a waiver being a civil servant, plus my 5 years being in the district, Ruatatonga district, where I was serving within the youth league. So eventually I managed to get in, and I succeeded. But for 2018, the challenges were now a bit different, because my strategy that I used during 2013 to campaign, we actually approached the party seniors. We discussed, we saw the challenges that were there within the constituency, which the opposition had failed to fulfill during the 10 years that they were standing in as the Member of Parliament for Goromonzi South. So ours was just to go and address those issues. Some of them, they were not really difficult to implement, but two main challenges that were difficult to implement. The first one being lack of infrastructure, like in Caledonia and in Lindest, which is part of Epworth. No roads, no water, no electricity, nothing, no infrastructure at all, because people were just building their own houses. But now they were now expecting you as a member of parliament and the ruling party and the government to come and support and now put infrastructure, which was very difficult in an area where more than 33,000 had already settled before any infrastructure had been put in place. So that is one thing that contributed to our losing the seat, because the expectations of the people were not met. And the other second major issue, it was the issue of housing cooperatives. Housing cooperatives, if done properly, yeah, they are good enough, because it's a faster way of providing houses to the majority. But if it's not done properly, a lot of people can actually be fleeced of their monies, and this is what really happened in Goromonzi South. We ended up having a lot of infighting, because those people who were supposed to get the stands ended up not getting the stands, because the cooperative leaders were now selling the land to other people who were from outside the constituency. So now allocation of the stands were based on your money, whether you are from outside the constituency or whatever. Yet we had campaigned within, promising people to get affordable housing stands. So this was the major issue. It resulted in us splitting and having an independent candidate for Zanu-PF and a candidate rather. So we were now fighting for members to support us. I would say those are the two major things that really contributed to our losing the seat. But otherwise, generally, it was in our favor. Well, for politics to be healthy, there's no need for factionalism, but maybe opposition, just to try and keep the ruling party a bit active, but not factionalism. Factionalism is not really necessary. People have to work together to find a common goal. But what happened when I was called a Gamma Talks, it really affected me, because I didn't know what it was, or who were those in the Gamma Talks and who were those who were not in the Gamma Talks. But I overcame it by simply becoming quiet about it and observing what was happening, until I then realized where things were coming from and where things were going to. And I suppose that also contributed to my being reappointed in 2017. As the Minister of Labour. Otherwise, had it been that I became very active within the factions, so-called factions that existed, maybe I wouldn't have gone far. But I opted to remain quiet and just observe what was happening, because I didn't even know what it was all about by then, because I was still very new in politics. Well, the major challenge is being tainted. The moment you become a politician, your life becomes public life. And those who want to pull you down, they always label you, especially if you are female. The moment I became a politician, I was given so many husbands. Right now, I don't even know how many I have. And all of them, they were said to be ministers, then cabinet ministers or former cabinet ministers. My children, I've got 5 children, 1 husband, married since 1997. But I've been given so many husbands, and my kids have been given so many fathers. Yet they belong to one father. So this is one of the major thing that they use to attack you and to pull you down. And also I was really affected, because I was running my business at the same time working as a civil servant before I became a politician, and things were going on very well. I was doing events management, I was doing my farming, I was doing my real estate, though I was actually working towards its registration and all. But before I became a politician, everything was going on very well. But the moment I became a politician, I was really affected. I didn't even know that it would be affected that much, because everything is politicized. Even where you follow due processes like anybody else, it becomes very difficult, because whatever that you get, it's considered as if you got it simply because you're a politician. Or even the trust, people begin to lose trust within your business. It looks like it's not professional. Even when everything else is professional, you are fully registered, fully legally compliant with all the rules and regulations within the associated businesses. But you find that the moment you become a politician, you become so much affected. Your business goes down, a bad publicity and all sorts of things. People want to know everything about you. When you are just working by, no one wants to know your husband, no one wants to know your kids or even their names or where you stay or anything. But the moment you become a politician, everyone wants to know your husband, they want to know your children, they want to know how you live and everything else. So you change from being a private person to become a public person. Yeah. I've been very fortunate in that my husband has been fully supportive from day one. We got some guidance even before I got into politics. We also approached those who were already there, who actually like mentored us and told us the dangers that are there as a married couple getting into politics. So you find that even when I was being labeled as someone of a loose or immoral character, when I was being labeled, even my children being labeled and everything else, my husband was not even surprised about it, because he had been made aware of some of the dangers that are likely to come through once I joined politics. So he has been very supportive. My children also have been very supportive, although they were, especially the eldest one, was a bit affected, because when he heard that he was being said to be a certain minister's son, and it was all over the internet, he actually called from school to say, "Mama, what is happening? I hate this and that and this and that." So I just explained to him that this is how politics is like. So they are quite happy that I use my maiden surname and not their surname, so that at least they are not linked anyway with my life or with my political life. But they've been very supportive, and also my parents, they've been very supportive, because where I am standing in Goromonzi South, that is my rural home, where I come from. So my parents have been very supportive as well. So my advice to the young girls, if we are, I think politics is like a calling, because you find that once you get inside there, it's very difficult for you to leave it, because politics really, when engaged, it becomes like a part of your life. So when you decide that is what we want to go in there, but be bold enough, be full of courage. Whatever discouragement that you may face, be prepared for it. Even if people give you names, don't really look back or look at it, but remain focused, and remain focused on your particular goal and keep going. Otherwise, you'll be disappointed the moment you get in. But there are quite a lot of opportunities, especially for young women, because there are few of them. Very few of them, especially those that are educated, very few of them are willing to take up the political positions. But I would actually want to encourage more women, yeah, to get into politics, especially those that are educated. Yeah, I want to encourage them to get in. Well, to me, there is no gender in politics. Actually, if we have got more women politicians, it's much more better, because politics is just generally about looking around the welfare of people, and women have got good hearts, even to assist or to look after other people. They've got they are more compassionate compared to men. So it's better if we can have more women politicians. Then they are more genuine in most cases, they are more honest, and they are likely to deliver more on their promises than the male politicians. So those who look down upon women, it's quite unfortunate they haven't understood the benefit that is likely to come out, especially from women politicians. And to make matters worse, if we get politicians who are also Christians, that will be a huge plus. I tell you, even the country will have a very quick turnaround of our nation if we can balance the two, politics and Christianity.
For these and other stories, visit our website www.263chat.com. Follow us on Twitter @263chat and like our Facebook page 263chat.